Hi there, my name's Scott Harvey. I am the co-founder of Clockit Software, and today I'm just going to take you through some of the features and functions of Clockit and how they can help you streamline your workflow in your day-to-day business. So in front of you here, we have what we call our measure calendar. The measure calendar is pretty self-explanatory. You have all your measure stuff color coded on the screen so you can see from one screenshot where everybody needs to be or where everyone's supposed to be. So your customer has been into the store previously, they've picked up a couple of samples, they're now wanting to go on to the next stage. So they might be on the phone or they might be back in store wanting to book in a measure. Now, to book in a measure, really straightforward. It's just a matter of clicking on the day, and then we go add measure. Now this brings you through to a basic screen where we're just capturing some really minor details here. We're trying to keep this as short and sweet as possible because we know you guys are busy. So we'll just go through and are we picking up samples? What's the product that needs to be measured? Is it carpet? Is it carpet and vinyl? We're just going to say today it's just vinyl. What's the start time? We'll say it's 12. We're going to say 12:30, and it's for today's date. You can chuck in a reference there if you need to, and then we just add the customer details. Now you can capture mobile phone, you can capture email address, or you don't have to capture any of those things. But obviously, the more information, the better it is for your measure staff to have that information on hand. And then as we scroll down, you can see that there are some options here for notifying the customer. So this is really to confirm that the measure has been booked in for them. So you can notify them via email. That'll go out at the time of pushing save down here once you've assigned it to the measurer. And then you've also got notify by text. That goes out at 8 a.m. of the day of the measure, just as a reminder to the customer to be expecting one of your staff members. We're hoping that will prevent no-shows. Okay, so then as we scroll down, you can see here, you just add some basic measure details. So what is it that the staff member or your measure team are expected to measure? And maybe the areas of the house. Now you can add as much or as little information here as you need to. And then you assign it to a measurer. So we're going to assign it to Steve Steele and hit save. So we have the measurer's phone in the bottom right hand corner, and as you would have seen, it's populated with that job that we've just booked straight away. So we're just going to go back to the measure calendar here. As you can see, it's also populated the job there. So that's across all your devices, all your staff's devices, full transparency, and all in live time. So if we go back to the measurer's device, they have all their jobs here. They've got some basic information that they can see straight on the screen here. Say the measurer is on the road, he's heading to the job. He can click on the job, and that brings up 4 options. So you've got call the customer, you've got maps, which is default to their whatever map application they use that would have their customer details hooked into it. You've got edit, reschedule, and then you've got measure. So we'll click on measure, and that'll just take you through to the basic job sheet that we created before. Right, so the measurer is on site. He's going to hit complete, and he's got a big sign there saying needs to collect samples. So he's picked up those samples, and then it's just a matter of capturing some basic details from the measure. Now, you can either do that at the time of being in front of the customer, or you could just do it once you get back in the car. It's just a matter of clicking through what those details are, Haven't really quantified anything yet, so we'll leave those blank. You've got some options there. You've got save or save and complete health and safety. We're going to go through and hit save and complete health and safety. As you'll see here, there's now a tick next to this job that the measure has just completed. That's just to say that the measure has been completed. So from a management perspective, it's really easy to see, what's been completed, what hasn't, really transparent. Okay, so to complete the health and safety, it's just a matter of going through. All the details have been pre-populated from the information, the data that's already in there. The health and safety is really straightforward. Now, for New Zealand, this is really down to the legislation that came out in 2016. So anyone that visits site, regardless of it being a commercial or domestic site, should be completing what we call a risk analysis, and that's what we've got built into Clockit here. So whether you use it or whether you don't, it's there. It's there to be used. It's a really great system. We strongly suggest that you do use it. So I'll just take you through it really quickly. So we have in blue, you've got the question, is access to the site unsafe? We're going to say no. On to the next question. Is there any heavy, awkward manual handling and lifting? Well, not by the measurer, but if you were to win the job, then definitely by the installer. So we're going to say it doesn't apply. What's the risk rating? It's low. And then what are we going to do? We're going to minimize it. And if you're not sure what controls to put in place, you can click here and that'll give you some examples. And you can add notes if you need to. Are the controls in place? Yes. Right, so just going to go through and hit no for the rest of these, just as a demonstration. So really straightforward. At the bottom, you've got the opportunity to upload any images that you've taken on your phone. And that's all stored in the cloud. So if you were to win the job, those details are then passed on to the installer. So we're going to just hit save here. Now, what you would have seen is the main screen has just updated. Now, the main screen has updated and there's now a tick to say that the job has been completed, and there's also a little health and safety emblem to say that the health and safety has also been completed as well. So if this is something that you wanted to roll out within your store, it's really straightforward. It's very transparent and easy for you to manage as well. So now the measure's been completed and the customer has been sent their quote. The customers come back to you now and they would like to progress with it and they would like to book in the install. So what we'll do now is go over to the install calendar. And just to give you a brief overview of how this install calendar is laid out, this is what we call board view. So with board view, you've got your installers down the left-hand side. Now these are installers that you have had what we call a work request with. So much like a friend request via Facebook, there has to be a request made either by the installer to you or to you to the installer, so that you have that virtual handshake, and that's how you can see their availability in live time. And then the rest of the calendar is fairly self-explanatory. So the colored blocks are jobs that you have booked in with these installers. You have some lined out days. Those are days where the installer is unavailable. So you don't know whether they're working for another store, whether they're working for a private job, or whether they're off fishing. It's just they're not available. And then you've got the blank days here where the installer is available. So the customer is wanting to get the job done tomorrow. Highly unlikely that would ever happen in the real world, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Shane's the best installer that you have for doing planks, so we're going to book in Shane. You can easily see that he's available. So to book in the job, we just click on the day, add a standard job. So it's a vinyl product. Now this will only bring up your installers that have this capability. So if you have new staff members booking in jobs, we tried to make this a simple process so that the wrong person couldn't be booked in for the wrong type of job. So we choose Shane. What that does now is that brings up 4 weeks of Shane's availability. So we can see that he's available today. And what we've done is we've broken the day into what we call 4 slots. So you can either book him in for a half day, you could book him in just for the morning, but for this particular job, it's a full day. Okay, so place hold and add job details. So what that does now is that's placed a hold on that day. And what we can see if we look at the installer's view of what's going on the bottom right here, you can see that on the Friday there's an untitled job that has a timer on it, so much like you have a timer on your screen. So the reason why we've got the timer there, it's a 2-hour hold. So what we've done here is if the job isn't confirmed within the time frame here, so 2 hours, so that gives you enough time to check stock availability. If another customer comes in, you can go and serve them. So that locks in that time for that 2 hours. Once you've hit save down the bottom or confirm down the bottom, then that's locked in. No one else can get it. If you don't do it within the 2-hour time frame, then those slots then become available for anyone else that Shane is working for. Now, because we have completed a measure, it's really easy for us just to bring over the information. So there's no double handling of the data. So we just punch in the customer's name. We can see here that the measure has been completed on the 28th. We select and then save measure data into the job. Now what that's done is brought over the data from the measure, but it's also brought over that risk analysis through the health and safety as well. We've quantified it. We know how big the job is now. It was going to be 12 square of the planks, and then for the bathroom it was going to be 7 meters. We can give it a reference number. We can upload a job sheet. We can upload any other attachments like the floor plan, just anything that you would think would be handy for the installer to have. It's already pre-populated the customer's details. Again, we have the ability to have notifications. So you've got notify by email and notify by text. As soon as you hit confirm down the bottom, that will automatically send a confirmation to the customer, which is all branded to your store. And then you've also got scheduled text as well. So the scheduled text, click on that, that'll send a text message 8 a.m. of the day before the install commences. Just as a reminder for the customer to move furniture if they're supposed to, or just to give them the heads up that the installer is coming. Because we know sometimes there could be, from the time of the booking to when the actual install happens, there can be quite a bit of time in between. Right, so down here we've got notes. Now the reason why this is pre-populated is because we've got it in our system to ask for that. Each account is different. This is just for demo purposes. So I can just get rid of that and say key in the letterbox. But if there is specific information that you have in each notes, like some stores do, then you can have that saved in your preferences, and that'll always populate for these jobs. Right, so once we hit confirm, again we'll go back down and see that the job has been populated into the installer's calendar. He gets access to that straight away. It's created this job sheet. So this job sheet is also what the same job sheet that the installer sees. So we've gone back to the calendar. We can see the job's been booked in. It's got the little health and safety emblem to say that the health and safety has been completed by the store, is yet to be completed by the installer. That'll turn green once the installer's completed it. So really, really straightforward for booking in. It can all be done without lifting up the phone, which is one of the biggest benefits of using a live system. So that you're not spending hours on the phone trying to tee up the time that suits the installer and the customer. And also you're not interrupting that installer multiple times a day trying to book in jobs. So I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. As we know, Customers love to reschedule. So what we've done is made it super simple for you to reschedule jobs. To reschedule a job, it's just a matter of clicking on the job, clicking on reschedule. Now, if it was date specific and the original installer could no longer do it, you can change the installer. But let's just say they want the following Friday. Shane's available, so we'll keep him as the same installer. Again, you've got the option here to send notifications. It's just as simple as choosing the date and clicking save. Now, again, that's all happened in live time. That's updated on your system. It's updated on Shane's system. Everyone's kept in the loop. And if you had ticked any of those notifications, then they would have been sent to the customer as well. So that's pretty much the install calendar in a nutshell. Really, really straightforward to use. So we've covered off today the measure calendar, we've covered off a little bit of the health and safety, and we've also covered off the install calendar. If there's anything else that you'd like us to cover off, please get in touch for a live demo where we can take you through a screen share. It takes about 20 minutes to half an hour, and you can ask questions along the way. Cheers.